This is Mike Ward with Live Explore Real Estate in Petaluma. I'm with Krista Keaney, who owns Drinks with Dolly, your party in a trailer in Sonoma County, and this is the Ward Report. Hey, buddy.
Hey.
How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good. All right, we're going to start with rapid fire, true and false.
Okay.
You pass this, we go to bonus questions.
Okay.
An accurate statement to describe Krista Keaney is, she is the party.
Ooh, true.
Correct. If you walk by 10 different men on the street, one can conservatively say you can squat and deadlift more than 9 of them.
Absolutely true.
Correct. One of the great songs of our generation is TLC's Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls.
Absolutely.
Correct. Backstory to that, we had a CrossFit 38 Degrees North Christmas party, legendary parties.
Good old days.
The entire backyard sang that song so aggressively that the cops were called because the neighbors thought someone was being accosted in the backyard.
I do remember that.
TLC.
Good times.
Great times. A bad day can be saved by a combination of tacos and one of Chewy's margaritas.
Absolutely.
Okay, you're 4 for 4 right now. This is the last one.
Okay.
If you get this last one, we're going to bonus questions.
Okay.
You have a large back tattoo of Keaney Irish family crest, which Sean made you get after you were first married.
That is false, Mike Ward.
That is false. You're
Yes.
5 for 5. We're going to bonus questions.
Okay.
All right, you made it through. You are shipwrecked on an island with a record player powered by the sun. You get one vinyl record, one album. For eternity, what album is it?
For eternity?
For eternity, forever, one album.
I don't know. It has to be an album with no words because I feel like the words would just drive me crazy eventually. So
That's
I
a
don't
deep
know one
take.
off the top of my head, but it would have to be an album with only music.
That's a deep take.
Yeah.
That's never been answered that way. So no lyrics. Why? Because you think the lyrics would like spin you out mentally?
It would just keep going on forever, and then that's all you would hear.
That
So why
is a
not
really
be in your
deep
own
answer.
head? Yeah.
I'm impressed with that. You're going on a 30-day juice cleanse. What is the last meal you eat before it starts? You can have anything. You could piece it together from different restaurants. You can make it yourself. It could be whatever you want.
It's tough because if you're going to do it the right way, it's got to be all protein leading up to the cleanse. But I don't want to do it the right way.
No.
So it's going to be pastor tacos,
Okay.
street.
From?
Pastor. Probably from the heart of Mexico, somewhere
Okay.
in Cabo. From a little cart with some pineapples and some spicy salsa. One of Chewy's margaritas, obviously.
Pastor's got such a good flavor to it.
It's so good.
Yeah.
And nachos from Mi Pueblo are pretty bomb too.
Okay.
So
Piece it together.
Piece
So
it
you're
all
going
together.
tacos, nachos, margarita, anything else? Those are 3 good components.
I think that's it.
Dessert?
Some baked good of some sort. I'm not a big dessert girly.
Yeah. Brownie?
No.
No.
It's got to be a cookie.
Cookie?
Yeah.
Cookie or cake?
Homemade cookie from someone who
Have you had
knows how to bake.
Stellina's cookies?
No.
Oh, God, don't.
Yeah, I won't.
Lindsay buys them before events.
Why?
It costs us like $250, but they're amazing. Like there's nothing better that you can put.
So yeah,
Like in your
I'd
body.
say a mixture of Mexican, and that's probably, I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Last one. You can live without working in any city in the world for 6 months.
Okay.
Where would it be and why?
Live without working any city in the world
Any city.
for 6 months. I'm a big Mexico girl, so I'm going to have to say outskirts of Cabo.
Nice.
Yeah.
Which you were at my wedding.
Yeah, I talk about that wedding all the
Cabo,
time.
San Jose.
It's the best.
Have you been back ever?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I paint the town red in Cabo.
What a great town.
It's a great town.
But you always, is it the San Jose side or do you go to Cabo?
Last time I went to Cabo.
Yeah. Where'd you guys stay? It's a hotel close down there by the
it
main
had
part
a
of the
little
beach.
club. It was right there next to the Mango Deck. I can't remember
God,
the
that place
Corazon.
gets so
Corazon
weird.
Cabo. Oh my God.
The Mango Deck
It's-
stage
yeah.
is probably one of the, for square footage, one of the weirdest
Oh, it's crazy.
200 square feet in the world,
I love
really,
me some
what goes
Cabo.
on.
I love me some Mango Deck.
And then the office is right next to
yeah?
it, so you go get breakfast. Yeah,
they have a little
that's-
massage parlor right down
Do
the
they?
street too. Oh yeah, it's like $30 for an hour-long
No way.
massage. It's right on the beach. So we would go massage, Mango Deck, beach club.
Yeah.
Just on repeat.
Yeah.
Tapas at night.
You don't get as hungover in Mexico.
It's weird.
Why? I noticed that personally. Do you notice that? Like because I don't go, let's be honest, I tell everyone I go hard. I don't go hard.
Yeah.
My max is 1 to 2 drinks in Sonoma County.
Yeah.
You know, on a weekend night. I tell everyone it's more than that. I'm a liar. It's not.
No, you never have been like that.
When I go there, I go harder than that. I'll push it to like a 4 to 6 drink night. but I never feel bad the next morning. Is it the weather? Is it the vibe? Is it the energy because you have no responsibility? What do you think?
No responsibility for sure.
Yeah.
No kids.
Yeah.
You're not scared to be hungover. See, I'm scared to be hungover
So am
because
I.
I have to get up and adult the next day, and
the worst.
being hungover and adulting is the worst thing ever. I am actually terrified of it. So I think when you're on vacation, you're not scared of the hangover, and if you have one, whatever, hair the dog it.
You figure it out.
And the sunshine. The sunshine is a healing component.
And a
I
pool,
believe.
too.
Yeah. No, it's
Laying
all
by
good.
a pool all day. We haven't been back in a while. We're going to go back
That
soon.
place, I tell everybody about that place. Like, I have a couple friends
is
who are
amazing.
planning weddings in Mexico, and I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, you got to just check
Why
out
would you
Cabo
do
Azul.
anything else?
You have to.
It's the way that they lined up that whole wedding and that
Iconic.
pool and like the flames at night and
God.
and it's the only bummer about that place is you can't directly swim in the ocean right out front. And I love swimming in the ocean when I'm in Mexico, so you have to go drive a little bit. I'm being picky.
Yeah.
Everything else was pretty on point.
Your wedding was super fun.
It was a good time.
I think about it a
It
lot.
was good having you there. All right, drinks with Dolly.
Yeah.
Let's talk business.
Let's do it.
The moment, like the literal moment you got the concept in your head. So Drinks with Dolly, explain what Drinks with Dolly is, what it is, and then tell me the moment like you came up with the concept and why.
Yeah. So Drinks with Dolly is a mobile bartending service. We service Sonoma County, Napa. We'll go into Marin. And we'll go to outside counties too, but you just have to pay a little bit of extra fee since the trailer is pretty old.
Yeah, but beautiful.
But yeah, she's cute. Her name's Dolly, so Drinks with Dolly.
Yeah.
And so we're a mobile bartending service. So we'll do weddings, but we do everything else as well. So I just booked a Barbie pool party.
Oh, no way.
And so it's for a bachelorette party, and they're like, will you be our bartender? And I said, absolutely. Like, that's right up my alleyway. Pool party, sunshine, all pink. Yes, count me in. So we do all that types of stuff, and we just come bartend your wedding or your event, and yeah.
Well, how did you come up with it? Like, why? I mean, there's a lot of different services out there, right? Not as unique as yours, right? I love the fact that you have this unique trailer. You're pulling it. It's got a name. It's got a theme. But there's other services that come and bartend, events.
Right.
How did it hit you? Where did it hit you?
Well, it hit me during the pandemic when I was in dispatch, and I said, I can't do this anymore. I need to work for myself. I can't work for anybody else. I need to be my own boss. So that's where I really started brainstorming. What could I, and this was before real estate as well. What could I do that I'm my own boss? I can make my own schedule. I can work from home, and it's fun.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking. I'm like, well, why don't I do a mobile coffee cart? Like, that sounds super cool. Petaluma needs one. Sonoma County needs one. I could do a mobile coffee cart. Well, Sonoma County makes it really hard to do any type of beverage, coffee carts, food trucks. They make you submit like pre-plans before the plans. It's really like in depth. And so I'm thinking, dude, I don't know. They make you do like the certain amount of sinks and all this crazy stuff. And I'm like, man, I don't know. And then I heard it was really hard to get permits to serve. So if you wanted to go to like street fairs or whatever, it's really tough. So I'm thinking, nah. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to do a mobile bartending service.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
So we started building, and thankfully my dad is a big construction guy.
Lee?
So, yeah.
Oh, he dialed Dolly out.
Oh, every Tuesday and Saturday he was at my house for hours.
best.
He's calling me every
He's the
single night.
best.
What do you think about this? What do you think about this?
Yeah.
So thankfully, and then my husband was just like the laborer. Like my dad would just tell him what to do, and then Sean would be like on it. So
Sacks of cement that don't even need to be used.
literally, and I was on my computer every night, just like design, figuring it out, ordering windows, ordering this. So then we just built a bar.
Was it an expensive startup for you?
So the trailer itself, if I'm remembering correctly, it was like $2,200.
Yeah.
But it was
For the shell.
it was beat to shit. It
Yeah.
was burned inside. I'm pretty sure they were smoking meth inside. It was
Yeah.
burned. It was, and it's old. And I told Sean, I'm like, we're going to go, I bought a trailer. I put a deposit down. We're going to go down and get it in Southern California in San Luis Obispo. He's like, what?
It wasn't slow?
Yeah. And I do not, to this day, we still talk about it. How do we get that trailer home? Like, I'm surprised.
The wheel didn't
fall-
pop off.
Dude.
Yeah. Sketchy. Just
Brutal.
you hear the sound as you hit 50.
Brutal. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, watch out, go slower, So we brought it home. It took about a year and a half to renovate.
Yeah.
And then finally our first.
Oh, it took that long.
Yeah. Our first official wedding season was last season.
Yeah.
So we just completed our first official wedding season.
Congrats.
Thank you. We're
Busy?
going in-
Did you,
It
were
was
you
busy
satisfied
enough.
with?
I mean, I'm never going to be satisfied until I'm like fully booked,
Totally.
like constantly moving. But for a first wedding season, it was okay. It was good. But starting a new business is not for the weak. I had to teach myself everything. And when I started Drinks with Dolly, I didn't have a social media account. I was off it for like a year and a half. And so like I started back up my social media, and I just had to like teach myself everything, and I'm still teaching myself. I'm still learning. I don't know what all these kids know with the Instagram and
it's
Reels
such a
and
different
TikTok and all that
generation,
stuff. But
What
I'm
else did you have to
learning.
teach? Like, so in that process, like, were there mistakes that were made as you were like rehabbing Dolly or starting the business that you learned from, or was it something that were they small
Most of
things
it
that you
was
could get
design
around?
stuff because
Yeah,
I'm a big I'm aesthetic. I like it to look aesthetically pleasing. So I mean, we repainted it 3 times. Like it was just not, and that was the most expensive thing to do, other than the windows, the paint.
the
So
exterior. Yeah,
yeah, we repainted it so many times.
What were the colors?
Well, first I wanted it all white, and then I
Yeah.
looked at it and I'm like, no, I don't like it. And then I wanted a two-tone with like a tan, and then I brought it back. The tan wasn't good enough, so then I brought it back and they redid it. And then like the window is lined with like wood. I'm still gonna go back and like fix that up for this upcoming season because I don't like it. I don't know. It's just
I'm the same way.
I
And if you don't like one thing, then every time you walk up to it, that is the focal point.
yes.
Every single time
And the
until it's
wallpaper.
yeah.
The wallpaper killed me. So I'm like, I must have picked out 4 different wallpapers. And then I just recently took down the wallpaper and I'm just going to use paint.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it's just ever changing. And I feel like that's what it is with a new business. It's just, you learn as you go. Like setting up my own account to like do my contracts, all that stuff. Like thankfully I have friends who are like lawyers who are able to like draft those contracts for me and do that kind of stuff. But without my friends and without my village, there's no possible way I would be able to. I'd be falling every single time, turn to corner.
So is it where you want it to be right now aesthetically?
No.
No,
I'm once
still
it
make the
stops
changes.
raining, I'm gonna pull it out of the driveway and do some sanding, do some painting, and then it will be where I want it to be
Yeah.
for sure. But yeah,
So when you bring Dolly up, right, you're at an event, and I've been to a million different events where different businesses are working that event. Like, how much does your personality come into play? Like, in terms of an energy, right? Because when I'm at a wedding, like, a lot of the energy at some point of the night is around the bar. That's where people are sitting and waiting. That's where they're meeting each other. That's where they're drinking. Like, how much does your personality come into play? Because
feel
you've got a
like a
great
lot.
personality and you're an energetic person, right?
yeah, and I feel like a lot. I've been to a lot of weddings where the bartending staff is just kind of like meh. You
Yeah.
know, they give you your drink and they don't really like engage with you. Well, we're a lot different. We've been in the party crowd. We've been to a ton of weddings. Like my husband was a bartender before he was a police officer. So we like get it. And what's really cool about my husband and I and whoever else is working with me that night is like we'll remember your order. And so like while you're standing in line, we'll just hand it to you. And so people like remember little things like that and
For
they want to
sure.
keep coming back. And I've made like really good conversations with a lot of people at the bar and I've learned so much about people. So I love it. And then they see us, we're like fun and engaging, and I really think it makes a big difference.
Sean works the events with you?
Oh yeah, he's taught me more than anybody else. Because
Really?
he was
On
a
a-
bartender for so long.
What do you bartend?
McGuire's.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
God.
Early days.
Yeah.
Long time ago, but he was a bartender
Dirtiest
forever.
dance floor in Petaluma.
Horrific.
Nothing got weirder than McGuire's after midnight. That right when you walk in, just like you would feel
horrific.
it. You
It's
would
like
there'd be like
icky.
there'd be like a heavy air.
I can't believe
there.
he worked there because
Yeah.
you know him, his personality. Like I can never see him working there long term, but
And he's not a man of many words.
nope.
So he must have just got it done.
Yeah, so he's taught me a lot about bartending, actually, like more than anybody else. So
Timing pours and things of that, or like
more
actual
like
drinks.
with people.
Oh,
more like with people.
Okay.
Like
work and talk, like
no, more like hey, don't give him that much.
Oh,
or hey,
got
like
it.
stuff that you would
The
think is like
control
common
aspect.
sense, but when you're just kind of like pouring drinks, moving and grooving, like you wouldn't really stop to think. But Sean's like, hey, or like more flow.
Yeah.
He's taught me a lot of like flow stuff. So like, hey, you should put this here because of this, and I'm like. Okay, yeah, you're right. Yeah, he's usually pretty spot on with all that stuff. So
And that's a good point you make because there's a liability aspect to it, right?
biggest
like,
fear.
yeah, if you've got a
biggest
guy
fear.
or a woman coming up to you that are absolutely hammered, and you keep serving them, how do you make that determination? Is it something where it's a gut feeling, or do you have to go up to the host and say,
I would never go up to a host,
Yeah.
only because if it's a bride and groom, that's like the last thing they want to hear about. Is
And that's
someone
like their
too fucked
brother.
up at their wedding. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just an executive decision, dude. It's just like, okay, yeah, I'll give you a drink, man, but it's like you put nothing in it.
Yeah.
Or you could just say like, hey, maybe have some water and come back. Like the thing with the bar at a wedding is that nobody's ever going to be mad at you. I've never had an upset customer, even when we're like, hey, man, have some water first. They're, oh, yeah, you're right. Because they're getting their booze for free. They're in like a good environment. They're with all their friends. Music's flowing. So you're never going to get a really bad, mad customer. So the worst we've ever had to do is, hey man, have some water, come back when you're ready. So
And no one's come back at you. No one's like snapped back or said
no,
no.
everybody's always actually pretty happy with our, delivery and everything like that because we're normal. Like we're just normal people. Like we don't want you to get in. My biggest fear is somebody getting into a car, driving drunk, and then
100%.
falling on us. So
Yeah.
like, yeah, we have insurance, we're covered,
Yeah.
but okay.
There's
that's
still
just a piece of-
responsibility.
and that's just like
Yeah.
our contract is just a piece of paper. And that's what my lawyer friend told me too. He's like, just remember, like I'm drafting up this contract for you and it's a good contract, but remember, this is just a piece of paper.
It's not a shield.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're hypersensitive of that. And I mean, this is my small business. And so that's another reason why I put it under only my name. The LLC is only in my name because God forbid somebody comes after us. My husband's a police officer. He could lose his job. No, come after me and me only if that happened to be the case. But yeah.
Which won't happen because it already sounds
No.
like early on the business. That usually takes a long time for someone to figure out that hasn't been a bartender or hasn't been in the business of how to regulate alcohol from
Yeah.
someone who's drunk. Because I remember I bartended for years.
Right.
And that's a tough conversation.
It's tough.
Especially when they're in front of their friends or if they're in their wife and they get embarrassed. And like there's so many components that go into that.
Or it's
So,
like everybody always wants to have shots.
Yeah.
And thankfully a lot of venues don't allow shots, but some do. And that's where I get like, I always avoid shots. I'm like, are you sure? Like I get it, like one or two, but people will keep coming back. And it's always like the older guys too. And that's
we
a
said
tough
no
one.
shots at our wedding.
Yeah.
Well, just because the bill. Because if you're spending like $4,000 or $5,000 on a bar bill, if people are taking shots, that's gone in an hour and a half.
People get too fucked up on shots.
They
It's
do. So when
never
you're
a good
pouring
idea.
drinks, it like lasts. We were doing shots at the end of the night.
Yeah.
But like in the beginning, I mean, especially for a host where I'll never forget just the cost of it. They came to me in Mexico and I was already drunk. It was my wedding. And they said, hey, bar's almost done. Do you want to re-up? It's like,
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me the pen.
Absolutely.
Another $3,500 gone. Right? And a swipe of a pen for another hour
Yeah.
of a party that had already been going for 5 hours.
Yeah, and people don't mind paying for their own alcohol either,
Yeah.
but you always want to like provide. But yeah, it's tough. No, I always recommend no shots.
Yeah.
People are going to do what they want to do though, man.
Do you counsel with the person before you come to the? So how do you set up? Like, what's the process? Like, someone calls you and says, "Hey, I want to have you at our wedding." Do you sit down with them? Do you like lay out a strategy? Do you talk to them over the phone? Is it a in-person thing?
Yeah, people are also different. Some people don't like talking on the phone. They want to email only. Sometimes I'll give them a call. I always do a site visit before even with or without their permission, I will just reach out and talk to the coordinator of that site and be like, hey, I'm the bartender. I want to come do a site visit. So I'll always know what I'm walking into, which is like, I don't know how people just like go in not knowing what the venue looks like or anything like that. So I know what the venue looks like. I know what to expect. I know what the flow's looking like. But every venue is super different. But yeah, when it comes to like the bride or groom, like people are very specific, dude. Like, so I'm not specific. I just want everything to run like smooth and I want everything to go good and I want everybody to be satisfied. So whatever the bride and groom want or whatever the person who's hiring me want, that's what they get. So for the Barbie pool party, if they want me to wear pink and my hair in pigtails, like that's what they get. They're going to be happy and satisfied. Then that's, that's good with me. So it just depends on the person. A lot of emails and then the coordinator usually pops in and says, hey, do you provide this? Do you do this? And so I'm usually with the coordinator more than the bride and groom.
And then how do you set up, like, so people know, like, a cost structure? Is it a per event, per person deal? Is it an hourly deal? Can you pick and choose, what cost structure that you want for the party?
So I try to make it as easy as possible because I know friends who, before I started Drinks with Dolly, were like, every per person, it's $4 for a signature drink, and then you multiply it by 120, whatever it may be. I was like, I don't want that. I want it to be super simple. So all of our packages are based on just a flat fee. So, if you want bartending services only, that's one fee, and that's actually our most popular.
So they can provide their booze.
That's
and
what it is.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so in California, it's really hard to get around all these different laws trying for us to provide the alcohol.
Okay.
So everybody who hires us has to provide their own alcohol.
Which they probably love.
Exactly.
Because it's so much cheaper.
Yeah.
If you're buying your own booze. That's what everyone wants to do anyways.
Yeah, hit up Costco. And
Yeah.
there was a wedding that I put my heart and soul into last year where I actually went to Costco for them. They were out of town. They were from Southern California. They did not drink. They weren't drinkers. So she had no idea what she was doing. And it was a destination wedding. And she's like, I want to have a bar at my wedding. I'm not a drinker and I'm not going to go do the shopping. So will you help me? And I was like, yes,
Full service.
Full service. Ended up being a great wedding with a lot of firsts and a lot of fun stuff. But yeah, so I typically don't do that. But if it's a situation like that where, they give me their card or they reimburse me or Venmo me or whatever, then I'll do it that way too.
Do you have issues? I know a lot of wineries sometimes don't let hard booze come onto the grounds. Is that still an issue?
That's a thing.
Or you can't get around that with your service because they're providing and you're pouring?
Yeah, it's just a case by case, venue by venue thing, and a lot of people like to have their own wines or whatever it may be. So that's actually pretty easy if it's just beer and wine. It's very smooth and easy. I actually like beer and wine only, but
it's so much easier than mixing drinks.
Well, it just doesn't get as rowdy either.
Do you, if booze comes into play, do you do a set kind of cocktail list? Because having every and anything is almost impossible.
Yeah, full bar, and like I said, they're buying their own alcohol. So if it's a full bar situation, I send them like a little calculator so they can kind of calculate, okay, I have this many people, this is how many bottles I should get, et cetera, et cetera. But with a full bar, it's kind of like whatever they want. So we say full bar, but really it's like they're buying the mixers and the chasers and they're buying the alcohol. So like their definition of full bar is completely different from somebody else's full bar. So and if they want to do just signature drinks, again, they're buying the alcohol. I provide the mixers of what we're mixing in the garnishes. And then we kind of brainstorm from there, like what drinks they want.
Yeah, because you can't have 30.
No.
Right? That's not functional at that point.
Two.
Is that what you do?
Two signature drinks, but if it's full bar, then that's a completely different package, and that's a lot more work as well. So we have a beer and wine package, signature drink package, and then a full bar package.
Yeah.
So
what do you think about tipping at events like that? Do like hosts say, yes, we're okay with it or we're not okay with it? Is that part of the negotiation?
Tipping is a really, I think, interesting
what a crazy topic right now.
It's super interesting.
Well, because you get a tip gas station, like when you pour gas, like everyone wants a tip now.
Tipping is greatly appreciated, but never expected. I mean, our prices they're not super cheap, but they're not super expensive. It's middle of the ground. But like, I'm a big believer in like, you get what you pay for. So you're paying for our service and we're going to do the best job possible. I don't expect a tip out of that. Like I'm already getting paid from that. So, but when we do get tipped, obviously it's great. So, but why I think it's such an interesting topic is people are either very pro, yes, put the tip jar out, absolutely, I want you to get tips. Other people are like, absolutely not. I don't want a tip jar out there. So it's just really interesting. Like we did a big wedding last year and the bride was awesome. The whole family was amazing. I loved them. But the dad, right, like a couple weeks before, the bride emailed me and was like, I didn't realize my dad would be so bent out of shape about having a tip jar. So please don't put a tip jar out. I said, no problem. They ended up sending us a check. It was totally fine. They were amazing. I loved them. But the dad's concept, and I totally understand, is I'm paying for all this alcohol for my guests to have a good time. They don't need to worry about putting forth any money. So I get it.
I get both sides.
Yeah, it's a 50-50 for me. I understand both sides completely. If I'm at a wedding, I'm always going to tip them, even if there's a tip jar in or out. I just will. I'll give them a 20, a 30, whatever we have. But I understand both sides completely. It's like 50-50 for me. Always appreciated. I don't expect anything.
That was one of my biggest moneymakers in college, though. So I probably bartended at, 5 or 6 different places in my life. Bartending weddings was easily one of the biggest moneymakers that I've ever been a part of because no one's paying for booze.
Right.
And if a tip jar is out, people throw cash in there.
Well, it's funny because not a lot of people have cash anymore either.
Oh,
so
that's true,
we have a little Venmo, like scan
You just
your
dated
Venmo.
me.
Yeah.
That was the late 90s, early 2000s.
I don't carry cash around that much
I know
either.
as much.
So the only reason I have cash in my wallet now is because we were just in Mexico and we had a bunch of fives.
So you do Venmo? Or
Venmo.
Tip?
Yeah, we could do Venmo,
brilliant.
but I mean, I don't expect it. And Venmo, they take a chunk out anyways. So if
even of tips?
Yeah, because it's through the business account.
No
so
way.
honestly, just
is what it
do
is.
whatever you feel is right. If you think that we're going above and beyond and you love our service, then absolutely give us a tip. But honestly, it's not
No, either way.
Yeah.
Any crazy situations that you've seen so far? I know it's a newer business, but has there been anything that has spun your head a little bit from a positive or negative standpoint?
Yeah, let me preface this by I've seen a lot of crazy shit at weddings, but ones that we have attended, and typically from my husband.
Yeah.
So nothing shocks me. And nothing,
besides him doing this on the dance floor?
Oh, he's passed out in planter boxes.
Best dance move ever. Is he still doing it?
Legendary.
It's
we
all
do it everywhere.
fists, all shoulders and fists. No movement lower body, all upper body.
It's become a tradition everywhere we go that we're partying, we do that move.
By the way, her husband is like 6 foot, 235, pure muscle.
No rhythm.
No rhythm.
No rhythm.
Police officer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poor guy. Poor
Can
dear.
lift more than 99.9% of the population.
Yeah. So with that being said, us working, I haven't seen a bunch of crazy stuff, but I do have interesting stories. Like the one wedding that we did, it was out in Bodega Bay. They had us do THC drinks instead of alcohol drinks. And the stories, everybody, big time THC users, which I'm like, okay, I'm a 5 milligram girly in bed. But this girl's telling us, like, this is just what sticks out. She's like 100 milligrams a night. 100 milligrams a night. Because And I'm like trying to wrap my brain around that. 100 mentioned. And I was like, that's crazy. She's like, seriously, it's the most expensive, crazy habit. And she wasn't a drinker either. She's like, 100. It takes me 100 milligrams to feel high.
I can't even imagine.
I'd be dead.
I can't imagine anything more than 15 milligrams.
I would be dead at 15.
Yeah.
I'm a 5 milligram girly.
And she was functional?
I'm telling you.
Couldn't even tell a difference?
No.
Damn.
I know. I think about her a lot.
Damn.
Yeah, I think about her
legend.
a lot. I think about
and
her.
didn't even like eat like that would be my downfall too, right? If I go 100 milligrams, I'm eating all of Jack in the Box, everything. I'm driving up and I'm saying the whole menu
to the hospital,
and then going to the hospital after that. Yeah.
So I think about her a lot. I'm like, damn, dude. I wonder how she's doing. Like, what is she up to? Anyways,
living a good life is what she's up to.
She's vibing.
She's super relaxed.
She's spending a lot of money to be super relaxed.
Early era Bob Marley somewhere in her house. She's doing okay. She's doing okay.
I think about her a lot. But yeah, that's pretty much like the most interesting conversation I've had. I was just like mind blown. Like, damn, that's like Snoop Dogg.
That's
status.
amazing.
Yeah.
So are you happy where you are right now with the business? Like from the idea to the production of a year and a half, you said, to get it done, to the events that you've worked, are you satisfied with your progress? I know you're a competitive person.
Yeah, satisfied is tough because I feel like if I say I'm satisfied, then I'm complacent in only booking a certain amount of weddings a year.
Yeah.
I'm happy and I'm proud. I should say I'm proud of myself.
I'm proud of
for
you.
the progress that I made because I never thought that I'd be able to A, have my own business and B, actually work the business and like continue on. I'm happy. I'm proud, but I definitely have a lot of work to do.
You have goals.
I have goals.
You say totally booked. What does that mean? Every weekend?
And that's also like ever changing too, because if I had 2 weddings or 1 wedding every weekend, that would be a lot of work and a lot of stress on me too. So I'm kind of finding that balance because I'm really big on work-life balance. I think it's super important. So I don't want to do too many weddings, but I also want to be able to just have this be like my main like source of fun income and like able to do that. So happy, proud, not satisfied. Not yet.
If you ever got to a point where it did get that busy, would you have the ability to get a second trailer and trust someone else under your brand to work an event? Because it would be tough. It's a thing you have to do eventually as a business owner, but it's tough, right?
Yeah.
It's your business. It's your reputation, not being there. Is that something that, is that a goal? Or do you always want to work every event?
I think I would like to work every event, but that is a goal. But my mom always told me, good workers are really hard to find. She's told me that since I was a teenager. Like, always be a good worker. They're really hard to find. And they are. Yeah. There's not a lot of people that I would trust with my business wholeheartedly, but there are people. I trust a lot of people. I've taken my nephew as a bar back. He did a great job. That nephew, I think he was 18 or 19 at the time.
Oh,
But
just living
I
his
trust
best
my
life.
nephews. Oh yeah, he's great. He's a server at Mary's now, and he's just like loving it. But so there are some people that I trust. I trust Sean. If I was in one location and Sean was in another location, I would trust that for sure. But yeah, you just got to get somebody who loves the brand as much as you do and would, and there are people out there, but that would be a goal. I don't know if my husband or my dad, if I brought home another trailer right now, they would be like, dude, like, no.
Yeah, we're
like,
good.
Straight to jail.
We're good.
Like,
we did this.
Yeah, we're good. But we'll see. We'll see where it goes.
So I'm going to shift.
Okay.
Unless you want to add anything more about Dolly. Is there anything that I didn't cover? I feel like we kind of ran the gamut on that.
Yeah, no.
You just adopted a little girl. And this is probably one of the most heartwarming stories in my database, right?
Love it.
You see I talk to a lot of people through social media. You stay connected with a lot of people. But following the journey of you and Sean adopting this little girl and what it took, and then now being in a place where she is legally your daughter, describe it a little bit. Like, how's the journey been?
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. Somebody told me, and it stuck with me, that your newborn is 5. because she came into our house when she was 5. So that stuck with me because I'm like, yeah, like new parents, they have a newborn, they're figuring it all out with a baby. Well, our newborn was 5. So we really had to navigate a 5-year-old as our newborn. And so it's a good way of shifting our focus kind of to that. So little backstory. So we kind of had no expectations going into what we chose to do as a foster to adopt program. We were extremely naive when we chose to do this.
Most people are, though, right?
Yeah.
No one really knows the system.
Our mentality was, okay, we have the financial opportunity to give to a kid. We were stable in our marriage. We have a house. We're able to provide a good life for a child. So why not? Let's just see what happens. And so we did. It took us about 1.5 years to fill out all the paperwork to foster to adopt. I shouldn't even say the moment. A week before we even signed what they call a home study, which means that you're completely done with everything. You've done all your paperwork. You're submitted your registration, taken classes, all that stuff. The moment before we even signed off, they called us. And they're like, we have a placement for you. And Sean and I are like, what? Yeah, we have a 5-year-old girl, and I won't get too much into it because it's her story to tell.
Traumatic background.
Yes.
Yeah.
And do you want to take her into your house? And so I'm like, well, let me talk to my husband about this. This is a huge decision. And they listed off a laundry list of things about her behavior that were extremely alarming. And we're like, okay. So we went to breakfast, we went to lunch, we went to dinner. We talked about it. We wrote down pros and cons. We did everything you can imagine. And we were always 50-50. We're like, dude, I don't know. Like, this might be too much for us. Like, we don't know. So at the end of the day, we're like,
Because there's no returns, right?
Yeah.
You like once she's yours
And
legally.
if she really has all of this behavioral issues, like that's a lot for us to take on. Like I said,
it's a lot.
Our newborn is 5 years old with all of these behavioral issues.
I mean, adoption's a lot.
That's a whole different.
And now
ballgame.
you're magnifying that with the background that she has.
And I like to say, adoption is the only trauma that we tell kids they need to be thankful for. And that hits home because everybody's...
What do you mean by that?
So everybody's like, you're such a lucky girl. Everybody has really good intentions when they talk to our daughter about being adopted into our house. They have great intentions. Congratulations. You're a really lucky little girl. Wow, you have really great parents. All of those things are meant to be very kind and heartwarming. However, adoption is a trauma. She's traumatized. She was pulled from her biological family due to extreme circumstances and put into a house where she knew nobody. And we're her new mom and dad. We're her new family. That's traumatizing. And people are saying that kids need to be thankful for that trauma.
Did you see a portion in the beginning? Was there a moment when you knew you had her trust? Because it can't be initially.
No, it's not initially.
It has to, yeah.
And I always think about her like the first couple of months when we had her and she was learning everything. It makes me really sad because she instantly called us mom and dad.
Right off the bat?
From the moment she got into the car.
Wow.
And yeah, some may think, oh my gosh, that's so cute. That's so heartwarming. That's so endearing. To Sean and I, were like, that's really fucking sad.
Yeah.
Because imagine
having
being
nothing,
5
and then this is
and
the first
meeting
thing that
a
loves
stranger
you.
and calling them mom and dad.
Yeah.
That's so sad.
I mean, she's had nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Her whole
And
life.
so, but I mean, fast forward, she's been with us a year. She's legally adopted. She's crushing it. But back to the trust thing, it took a while. And it's still, she knows that we'll protect her. I mean, we'll go down fighting for her. We'll protect her tooth and nail forever. And she knows that. She knows that she's safe and she knows that she has a good mom and dad now. But it took a while. And it's this weird getting to know a small human that's 5 that we still are always in the back of our head. We're like, is it the trauma or is she 6? Because she's 6 now. Is it a 6-year-old thing? Or
and
is
that's a lot of it because I got a 6-year-old, right? I mean, they're sometimes being
Kids
a 6
are
they're crazy. Yeah.
They're crazy.
And change so quickly and so malleable. Has she been malleable, like in terms of like her personality? Like, have you seen an evolution from the moment that she's come in till today of her kind of changing a portion of her personality?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like the negatives from the trauma that obviously would surface through different things, have some of those started to disappear as she's been in a loving home for What has it been? A
It's
year?
been about a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
So
have you seen?
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you've seen an
She
evolution.
even looks different, dude.
Yeah.
Like it is crazy what consistency, routine, and love
Good
will do
food.
for
Yeah.
not only a kid, but anybody, you
Yeah.
know, but we have been consistent from day one. Same exact routine. You know what to expect. It's not going to change. And we love her. And so I think with just those three things, man, she's completely different. She used to be really hyperactive, and she still is, but I mean, not to the extremes when she was in the house. You know, she's a different kid.
Yeah.
For sure. And it's amazing to see, and we're so proud of her. She's crushing it. She's just like a normal little kid. If you saw us on the street, you would never know the backstory or what it took to get there, you know, because Sean and I have been extremely just, we're not going to let up on the consistency, the routine, and the love. We're not going to, that's a non-negotiable. So she's crushing it. We're super proud of her. But yeah.
Has there been a moment in the last year, because she's young, right? She was 5, she's just turned 6. Has she noticed the difference in environment? Has she ever come to you and said like, hey, this is what my experience was, even though when she was probably 3 and 4, but has she noticed there's been a shift in her life and in her environment, not just from you guys, but going to a local school, living in a clean house, eating like foods that are good for you? Like, does she notice that?
She knows.
I wouldn't expect her to.
No, she knows.
But
She's actually hella smart because I think for the first 4 years of her
that was
life.
your first hello you dropped, and it took almost
Hella.
30 or 40
Really?
minutes. Yeah, I'm very proud of you.
She's super smart because I think for the first 4 years of her life, she was in fight or flight.
Yeah.
So think about being in fight or flight for the first 4 years of your life. You're scrappy, dude. You're super smart.
Survival.
You're in survival instinct. And so that was another thing that I've been writing home to is like she needs her nervous system to decompress. And so I have worked so hard on like giving her fish oil, like supplementation, getting her off of any prescription meds. Her nervous system needs a break. And she's doing exceptionally well. But yeah, back to what you were saying about like noticing the shift. She knows.
She knows.
Oh, she knows for sure.
Yeah.
And I always tell her, not every day, but when we're cleaning up after ourselves, all this stuff, we need to keep a clean home because it shows that we love ourselves. We need to keep a clean body so she's really starting to learn that like, okay, cleanliness means that we love ourselves. It means that we respect ourselves. And that wasn't always the case for her, obviously. But she knows. And I do believe that she's thankful in her own way. You know, kids don't really show their thankfulness. They don't know.
No one does.
But she's learning. And I do believe like there's little moments where like even her birthday party in September, like she was looking around and you could just tell. She's like, oh my gosh, all these people love me. So we like to tell her all the time, like, you're very loved. You're very loved. And so now she'll even say like my best friend, Danielle loves me. I'm like, yes, she
That's
does. Like
amazing.
everybody loves you. You know,
Yeah,
you're
word to
so
take
loved.
in.
You're so loved. And so we're just like really just trying our best to just normalize her nervous system, let her know that she's loved every single day, but also be on her because if we're not on her, that girl, she's just a crazy 6-year-old.
They're so malleable still, even though, I mean, whether they're a baby, whether they're 3, whether they're 6, whether they're 12, like they're so malleable in their environment. And like the examples that you live and lead, right? Even without saying, even without teaching them what to do, just watching you and Sean, how you love each other, watching both of you go to your jobs, watching the structure. It's like they take all that in and they just shift. They naturally shift.
There's 2 things that I always like try to tell her. I'm like, we got to be mentally strong. Like I'm trying to teach a 6-year-old how to be mentally strong. Yeah. But if I can get through to her that if you're mentally strong, you can overcome anything.
Totally.
Don't dwell on the trauma. Just be mentally strong. Keep marching. If I can get that through to her, I will be so happy because she will be so successful in anything that she chooses to do. Like be mentally strong. And then another thing, I always tell Sean this too. I'm like, one day she's going to realize what kind of people her parents are. One day. She could be 20. She could be 30. Who knows? 18. But I want her to look back and be like, yeah, my parents are good. Like they're good. But one day, it takes you a while. Everybody's different. But like there's a time where you come and figure out who your parents were. And you're like, yeah, okay, they're okay. Or they're not okay or whatever. They went through, they had their own life too. But one day, Savannah's going to look back and be like, yeah, they did good. And like, you know what I mean? And that's like what I strive for. I just want her one day
There'll be
to
a
look
moment.
back.
I'm sure
and
she'll
a
call
moment.
you or walk up to you
and I just
tell
want her
you.
to look back and be like, my parents did good. Like, thankful. And that's like what I strive for, dude. Like, be mentally strong and just like, I want her to have like Sean and I to look up to and just always come to us, you know? Because just imagine being adopted at 6, knowing that you have a traumatic, I just don't want her to grow up angry. Yeah. That's like my main thing. Just don't grow up angry, and we'll work through it. But she's crushing it.
I love that you're trying to teach her those like mental lessons. Like I do
Dude.
that with my kids, and I did it so early. And I missed on so many lessons. I would go and like when Gunnar couldn't sleep at 3, I'd be like, you got to visualize, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
Sit down
in
with
your
me.
head, in
Let's
your brain.
create sheep. And I'll never forget one night he tried for like 20 or 30 minutes and he came out crying. He's like, I can't see the sheep. I can't see the sheep. And then there was a breakthrough, right? Like a year later when he was playing T-ball, whenever we go to a sports event, I always say, hey, close your eyes. See your bat hitting the ball.
Exactly.
Hear it, feel it, and there was a moment where it clicked. And it's like, whether those lessons hit or not, if you stay persistent with them you keep moving towards a goal, God, the lifelong benefit of all those type of
I just
lessons.
recently read a book. It's called Fostered, and I think it's by Tori Hope. I could be wrong. Yeah. But she was in the foster system. She went through like 10 different houses, and
can imagine
she was mentally strong, dude. And she says in the book, which is like what I want Savannah to learn, she says in the book, she was a track athlete. She ended up getting a track scholarship, even though she was in foster care in different homes and didn't have a dad and her mom was mentally ill. She ended up getting a track scholarship, and super impressive. But what she says in the book is she's like, I taught myself to be so mentally strong. I had already won the race 1,000 times in my head. I already won it. So when she lined up to go to that state race, she already won it. And then she won it. And so I'm like, if I could just teach my little girl, just visualize that you got this. Like, you will be okay. Just like see yourself through. Like that would be just like iconic.
Because she already has the strength, right? Just coming from a background like that, the strength's there, and then learning how to use that,
Yeah, and trauma. You become traumatized when you sit in the trauma, and so I really wanted her to know, like, if you sit in this is where this is where the depression will come. This is where everything will come. But if you don't sit in your trauma and you push through and you're mentally strong, you tell yourself, let it go, then the world's yours. You'll be able to do anything. So
how's it shifted you?
Oh my gosh.
As a human being. How's it shifted you, and how's it shifted your relationship with Sean?
Yeah.
Your marriage.
So I was thinking about that on the way here, actually. We got Savannah into our home, and then our dog died all within like 4 or 5 months. And Bro's death was like slow.
The dog was named Bro?
Yeah.
It's the best name ever. I didn't know that.
He was the best dog. He was my soul dog. So if anyone's ever lost a soul dog, then they'll be able to relate. But his death was slow and sudden and just painful, dude. Like painful.
How old was Bro?
And he was only 4.
Oh, I was young.
So, excuse me. So within Savannah and Sean having to debate with a 5-year-old constantly, and then Bro dying, it brought out something in my husband where he was like, do I do this? Like what Savannah's doing? Do I argue with you like that? And I'm like, yeah, actually, like you kind of do.
Interesting.
And then he saw like Bro dying, and it was just like this like crazy shift where it's like kind of bad shit needs to happen to like really bring you closer. It sounds cliche, but it's kind of true. You could either realize and be better and realize or just sit in it. And he and I both kind of were like, oh my God, like you don't get out of life without pain, right? Yeah. So we got to go through this together, and we got to be like a united front. And we've been married, I think it's 7 or 8 years this year. And so we're just like getting into our like, we've always had a really good relationship, but now we're like really getting into the groove. Like we're a united front, like with Savannah, with anything, and we can handle it. So if I can't handle it, then Sean can, and vice versa. So it shifted our relationship exponentially, and I'm always telling, and he's really accepted, like he'll accept my feedback, like, hey, like the way that you said that, like maybe not, okay, yeah, and he like doesn't fight back with that, which is amazing. But just like in myself, I'm a little bit softer. I hate to admit it because I'm not a softie, but I'm a little softer. Yeah. I'm a little kinder. I kind of have to practice what I preach a little more. So if I'm telling Sav like, hey, be kind, we're kind in this house. Like I can't go off being an asshole. And so just a little bit softer, a little bit more aware. Just want to practice what I preach, man.
That sensitivity comes with age, and I think
I think it does too.
Make it grow so much faster because I am the most unemotional person alive. You talk to my wife, I mean, zero emotion, everything's even keel. Mm-hmm. We can figure it out. Mm-hmm. Then you have kids and that investment, something about the investment in another life. And you start, for me, I never think about death. I never think about getting hurt. I never think about getting into a car, getting a crash. That stuff never crosses my mind.
Wow,
I'm going to have a good day. Wow. But then you're like, well, I got this life that I'm providing for, who needs me emotionally, who needs me for his growth. And then you start to think of these bigger like picture questions. And for me, it has made me a little bit more sensitive as a man.
I'm a lot softer, and I see people a lot differently. I see moms a lot differently too, or like single parents. I've always been a realist with everything, and I still am, but I just kind of have a little bit of soft spot for a lot of people. I look at my parents now and I'm like, you did your best. I get it now. Yeah. It all kind of comes full circle, and I do think that comes with life experience too. I think you're right. Totally. But just a little softer. Just really just want to practice what I preach, man. I want her to look back and be like, yeah, my mom, she tried her best. She did good. Like, she taught me this, and she led by example. So
what a great point you made, though, about when you do deal with something that is more traumatic or something that is tougher, that you guys come together almost as a team. Mm-hmm. And the one thing that I always think about, I always revert back to is, and it was a very horrific like part of this country's history, is when we got attacked in 9/11.
Yeah.
As divided as the country is today, I have never seen people come together like the year after that attack happened.
Or the day after.
Everyone, I'm talking about people letting you into traffic, which would usually cut you off. Everyone hugging, everyone supporting each other. And that's a very extreme example of that. But in that same sense, like when you have to come together, when you're going through a battle like it, you have to come together emotionally with someone.
Because how much harder is it to butt heads with somebody while you're already down?
Yeah.
Like, you want to be angry, you want to but you can't. You can't. You just kind of have to let yourself just feel and like move on.
Yeah.
That's what I've learned. I've read a lot of books about the mind recently, and it's just fascinating. And basically what I'm trying to do is, if you feel a bad emotion, just tell yourself, let it go. Mm-hmm. And it works, dude.
Yeah.
You feel it in your heart. You feel yourself in traffic starting to get pissed off, whatever it may be. Let it go. Dude, just let it go. Like, don't let it build up. So.
That comes through experience as well, right? I remember being a kid when I just got out of college. I had to drive 45 minutes each way, which sometimes would be an hour and a half in San Diego to the sales gig. And I had those little, do you know those like
they're
ceramic?
Like hard. Yes.
Yeah. And I would just sit there, stew, and just stare people down and just like move those things around. And then you get to a point, like you said, like you throw on a podcast, you realize you're in something you can't get out of.
Dude,
you just got to deal with it.
Yeah.
And then you let go, because it's a cycle. It's a mental cycle, right?
Where
you're getting more and more pissed off.
My husband's really good at that. He just like doesn't even care. Like, he's just like, whatever. Yeah. And I'm just like, no, I'm still working on it like every day. Like if I don't actively work on it, my reactions, whatever it may be, then like it's a cycle. But like Sean's just like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Like
that's his personality too. He's so even keel.
Yeah, he's crazy. Yeah.
So I got a couple more questions. We're going to talk about how people can get in touch with you for Dolly at the end. One question I always ask at the end of the podcast: in 35 years from now, how old are you?
34.
So 70.
70.
I'm hoping you're retired at this point.
Absolutely.
All right. What is, like, when you look back at your life, what's going to define success to you? It's a very important question, and one I think about all the time.
Yeah, it's such a good question too. I mean, obviously you don't want to have any regrets, right? That's hard to say, but you don't want to have any regrets. You want to live authentically. You want to live your true self. You want to say what you need to say and kind of not hold anything in. That is what I think is super important, just living every single day. Like, if you hold things in, it can just like hoard a bunch of things inside of you. So I think it's just living your authentic self. But when I'm 70, I don't plan on being here. That's for sure. I'll probably be on a beach somewhere, retired. Sean and I really want to retire in Mexico. It sounds crazy,
really?
But oh yeah, it's
Gringos.
It's like a huge topic in our household. Like how?
Where? Outside of Cabo somewhere?
So there, but we spent a lot of time in the Puerto Vallarta area, and just north of the Puerto Vallarta, a lot of Canadians flood.
Interesting.
It's actually super interesting. They live there 6 months out of the year because it gets too cold in Canada. And so it's just like, people do it all the time. It's a
great lifestyle.
I mean,
it's my perfect lifestyle.
It's my perfect lifestyle.
Yeah. Never put on shoes, never put on pants.
Just wake up.
Walk to the beach.
Like, my perfect morning is just like a slow morning, coffee by the water, So in 70 years, I plan on having a house in Mexico, retired. And I just really, success is hard because it's so fluid.
What is success to you? I mean, that's a question in itself. Is success financially getting where you want to go? Is it having the marriage you want? Is it being the parent you want? Is it doing what you're passionate about? Like, is it a mixture of everything?
It's a mixture of everything. It's like a little like color wheel, I would say, of 33% of all of those. But it's looking back, having no regrets, and being financially able to spend time with your family, but also live at the same time. I think that's huge. I think having a work-life balance. I think never giving up is what I think about being successful. Don't give up on your marriage. Don't give up on raising your kids. Don't give up on your dreams. Just don't give up. And so when you're able to look back when you're 70, you're like, man, I really pushed it. I gave it all I got. And I think that's super important. Obviously, don't give up on your health. Keep pushing. Mental health is super important. I think when I define success, it means just not giving up.
Yeah.
Looking back and just knowing you gave it all. Forward. Keep it moving. And just being able to spend time with your family and do the things that you love to do while being able to be financially free. I think that's so cool. The
time with the family too. I mean, especially I was single forever.
You were a habitual single man.
Forever.
Lindsay is
still surprised that I'm married. Right? She changed it all.
I remember when you guys went on the first date and we were all texting like, you got like, what do we do? Like we were like tripping.
Oh yeah, and her best friend Molly,
yeah,
turned to her before we went on our first date and said, "Listen, he's fun, but this won't last more than 2 months. Like
yeah,
he's
whatever.
a really good time." And she said, "Whatever." She said, "Then I'll have fun for 2 months."
What do we say? And then you took her on vacation, and we're like, "Oh, they're on vacation together." And then you were like, "No pictures" or something along those lines. And we were like, I still remember that. And me and Molly and Fran were like, "What the fuck, dude?"
The actual story is I took her to Hawaii and I bought the ticket. I said, "Listen, we'd only been dating for like 2 months." And I go, "Listen.
The whole family was there.
Whole family's going to be there. It's in 3 months, but here's my dire mistake that I made. But don't worry. I got insurance on the plane ticket. If it doesn't work out, I'll get my money back."
And you guys sit separately?
We sat separately. I said, "We're going to spend a week together. Just do your thing for 5 hours.
Just dating a new guy, recently in a relationship, hopping on a plane, and it's like, see you later.
See you later."
Yeah.
I really want you to have your me time for the next 5 hours. So that was me. And I went from that, right? I went from getting on a plane and sitting separately from the girl I was going to Hawaii with to
oh my God,
when I have a day off, and this is very genuine, I just want to be with my kids and my wife.
Yeah, it's great.
What a shift, right? And it's been a 10-year shift for me, or 11 years, I guess. But you're just like, when you're so blessed to be around someone that you want to be around, and there's ups and downs in every marriage, and there's emotions, and there's this, and there's good days, and there's bad days. And then the kids exacerbate that, right? They magnify that. So like they come in and there's so much goodness in having a child, but then there's moments that they grind you to a breaking point. Like I've never been brought to a breaking point in my life. My 2 boys will bring me to that point, right? So you learn to get stronger in that. But what else do I want to do? Like on a Saturday, on a Saturday 11 years ago, it's like, okay, let's go to a restaurant. Let's go out to a bar and have a drink. Let's do that. Now it's like, no, let's go find some weird lighthouse in, Marin or Sonoma County, and let's take a hike and let's have a picnic. And that shift in evolution that you're pushed into with a family and kids
what a cool thing.
Priceless. It's invaluable. And it's like I sit back probably not every day. That'd be a lie, but like, monthly in the shower. I do my best thinking in the shower. Nice. And that'll hit me of just like what a blessed journey that I've been shifted off to with these kids and this wife and what they bring out of me, and looking forward to seeing like their progression and them succeed and them have the fun. And it's no longer like I want to go to a game to have fun. It's like I want to go to a game because I want to watch you have fun.
Through their eyes.
Yeah.
Like, see them explore the world through their eyes is pretty cool.
It's amazing. It's been an amazing shift. And what a blessing that you guys have given that girl and yourselves.
Yeah.
Right? It's not just for her, for you too, and the changes you've made. I'm super proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm proud
You've seen me through.
I've seen you through it all.
Before Sean, you sat down.
For those that don't know, Krista was a coach at my gym that I own. She started as an athlete, became a coach, was a huge part of the community. But I've sat her down when her and her husband met at my. You'd met once before, but you hadn't.
No, we went to high school together, but we never met.
But you never knew each other.
Yes.
And then you met at my gym, and what was my conversation?
Oh my God, we talk about this all the time. Like every time you call me, the picture still comes up with you, by the way, like next to the turtle.
Yeah.
I'll never get rid of that picture.
Chill turtle.
Chill turtle.
Yeah.
Super chill.
That's who I am.
Mike's super chill.
That's who I am.
And I think about it all the time, but you called me one time. You're like, hey. I'm like, hey. And Mike called me every day. Like, this was like an everyday situation, like coaching situation. He's like, hey, I heard you're dating Sean, and I really just I don't want this to fuck up the team dynamic. I really want to make it to regionals, and if you guys break up, then that's going to ruin the whole dynamic of the gym, and you just need to be really careful. And I'm like, I was 22.
Yeah,
20,
I said
okay, Mike.
I said so make it last.
Yeah.
I said
Okay,
I'm on board, but make sure it lasts.
I think you talked to Sean too.
Oh, I did.
We're like, okay, Mike,
Yeah.
whatever. And look at us now.
And it lasted.
11 years later, we're still
And
cruising.
it lasted. Yeah.
38 has a lot of relationships,
It
a lot
does.
of babies, a lot of
I think we're
great
at 10,
times.
10 or 11, 38
It's
North
amazing.
babies.
Yeah, you did a really good job.
And I'm
with
adding
that,
yours
Jim.
in 12.
12.
Yeah.
You gotta add her in.
So yeah, I mean it's but it's been an amazing process for me just to watch you from. You were 21.
I think when I walked through the doors of 38, 22. I think I was 22.
22-year-old young lady, to now in the progression of relationships, careers, the adoption, just who you are. It's been really cool to watch because I care about you a bunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not your dad, but I'm sounding like it right now. I'm very proud of you for what you've done.
Well, you played a big part in our life too. Me and Sean always talk about it. Like Mike was a great mentor. Like you really set the precedent to like, no, we're not gonna slack off. Like even with like working out, whatever it may be, like you taught us to be like, no, you're gonna give it your best and you're gonna fucking do it full send. And you really set the like every time I get a new coach or I see somebody coaching, I'm like, Mike wouldn't. That's not how Mike would do it. So, but you did a really good job laying that foundation down of like what to expect. And I think I look through my life and there's only like 5 coaches I could like think of, and you're one of them that like really like made an impact and like set the precedent of being like, no, you're better than that, like let's go. And so we're thankful for that too.
We had a magic time there, and I do awesome. Reflect on it a lot of just that it was magic in a bottle.
That was awesome.
I had that place for 10 years, and those first like 1 to 4 years were the energy, who you were meeting, what you were doing, the competitions, the support, the like community, like the parties, like everything. It really was a special time in my life.
It was
the memories from it. Yeah.
Like, I don't know why it can't be like that again. I guess we're all just like old and can't let loose anymore like that.
It's a river, man. Every time you put your foot in a river, it's a different part of the water, right? Like life goes on, and I just think there's moments in time. And I've had, in San Diego, I had years like that in South Mission Beach where they were absolutely magical. Mm-hmm. And I look back so fondly, but it's hard to recreate, because you're a different person and you've got different responsibilities. But I cherish the memories that I have.
Yeah, I do too. I know Sean does too. A lot of people do.
And with Drinks with Dolly, how do they get a hold of you? Like, what's the best way? You're on Instagram. Is there a handle on Instagram? Is there an email? Is it your cell?
Same thing. Everything. Drinks with Dolly on Instagram. Yeah. Typically, that's where I post as much as I can. But like I said, I'm still learning. So bear with me on the marketing, social media type stuff. We got a drone coming. My husband's very excited about the drone footage.
That he's offering
it's my goal to make the footage on social media a lot better this year. So look for that. But yeah, Drinks with Dolly it has everything, and our website is just drinkswithdolly.com as well. And then Facebook, it's not quite up and running yet, but we'll get there.
There's no better bartenders in Sonoma County for you to bring to your party. These guys will both bring the energy, and
we're a good time.
The trailer looks beautiful. You guys did a great job. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
it was fun.
It was great to talk.
Thank you.
All right.